I'm just getting started!
How are you guys doing today? It's the True Game Nerd here, bringing you reviews as always. Today we're going to continue the Tekken retrospective with Tekken 4 for the PlayStation 2. Tekken 4 is considered the ugly stepchild of the Tekken series. A lot of this was because some dire changes that were done to the gameplay, some interesting design choices, and a smaller, more condensed roster. I feel indifferent about this, but I'm also a huge Tekken fan. I was such a big fan of this game that I actually started playing it in arcades the day it came out. It was at this little bar near Angelo CD Shop in Denver, Colorado. And I could never get past Heihachi for some reason, but it is a great, great game. Now, does it hold up by today's standards? I don't know, because 10-year-old me is a little more friendly when it comes to games, and I'm a little more hostile now. So today we're going to take a look at Tekken 4, starting with the graphics. One of the biggest changes is the stages are now fully connected. You can interact with everything. There's no background shifting and moving with a continuous floor. Everything's connected. What this creates is a more realistic view and a little bit more of a dark and gritty look. Now the problem with this is the stages do have people walking around, but they have significantly less detail than those that you saw in the background in Tekken Tag, since it's no longer pre-rendered. It's not that big of a deal, but there is one stage where you're kind of in the middle of a fight club where it looks really weird. The character animations in this game have been given a little bit of an overhaul. Everything looks a lot smoother, and the facial animations, they just see a lot more than they did in Tekken Tag Tournament. It's a true sequel. The hair now flies around in a more realistic way. The textures look really nice, and there's an extreme variety in the number of stages that you can fight. One of the coolest things that this game has added is the cinematics. And the endings are no longer just these little short tidbits. They are full, almost little 5-minute miniature movies that will make you want to go back and beat the game with every character. Especially characters like Jin Kazama that have a lot of dialogue. Another thing that they changed graphically is the win poses. Now the characters will actually talk. You get a little better feel of what their character is and what they're like. Some characters like Heihachi will have interactive win poses where he lifts someone up by the head and slams them to the ground. It's things like that that make the game look a lot smoother. The other thing that's been changed is when you win round 1, there's no win pose first. The character gets up. As you can see, graphically, I don't really have any complaints about this. Let's move on to the sound. The sound has had a little bit of a significant change. All the sound effects have gotten a huge overhaul, as well as some voice acting that's been given. And it's really good voice acting, depending on the language. Sometimes the English voice acting could be a little funky, but I found it really cool to get to know the characters by hearing their voices. The music is very well done. It now will shift and change. When you actually KO a character, the music will get a little heavier, or the drums will come in. Little pieces like that adds so much. The other thing is the music will now include noise from the backgrounds. So when you fight in a fight club, you can hear people hollering and yelling in the background. The parking lot has a big echo to it. It really adds a lot to the game itself. The gameplay in this game is what a lot of people both like and dislike, and I'm indifferent. There are some things they changed. The first thing is that now when you press up or down, you don't duck or jump. You actually move full circle, and if you want to duck, you have to press down and forward, or up and forward, or etc. D-pad combinations. This is okay. It can get a little bit annoying if you're mid-fight, because sometimes you're really trying to duck and you can't. The combos and all those systems have stayed the same. It's a little more balanced. One of the biggest changes is now that the backgrounds are no longer continuous, you can actually kick people into walls, which is something new in this Tekken. You can hit them into the roof of the parking garage and have them fall over. You can even knock them into a car. You can hit them into buildings and they'll crumble. It's a really nice thing that adds a little more depth and realism to the game. Something new to add to the gameplay would actually be the new revamped version of the Tekken Force mode. And we remember back in Tekken 3, it was more like a side-scroller. Well, this one's a little different. This version of Tekken Force is a 3D beat-em-up. And you go through 4 or 5 stages, I don't remember. And you go through hordes of enemies with a boss at the end. Some of these stages are very cool. I like Kazuya's stage, and I like Taihachi's stage. However, towards the later portions of the game, it continues to get a little bit cheap, so be prepared for that. If this was a standalone beat-em-up, it would not be very good, but because it's part of a better fighting game, I'll let it fly. So that's Tekken 4. Not one of the greatest Tekken games of all time, but certainly a step up. I'm going to give this one an 8.5 out of 10.